in today's world, just keeping up with everything, especially complex stuff like financial reporting, it feels like a massive task. How do we even make sure that these really intricate financial standards get applied like consistently and effectively across all sorts of different industries? It's a huge challenge. So our mission today is to really dig into the financial reporting councils, that's the FRC, their policy on developing statements of recommended practice, or SORPs. It's a pretty crucial document, and it actually comes into effect January 1st, 2025. And we're basing this on the excerpts from the FRC's policy document from November 2024. So that gives us a direct look at how these important statements of recommended practice actually get created and managed.
Yeah, and it's quite fascinating when you look at it. You see how the FRC tries to build this structure, this framework for clarity and consistency, especially in these really specialized sectors. These policies, they're really fundamental for maintaining high-quality financial reporting, auditing, actuarial work too, across the UK and the Republic of Ireland. They're kind of the bedrock, ensuring that even niche industries follow a clear, consistent set of rules.
Okay, let's unpack this then. We hear SRPs, we hear new policy. So what exactly are SORPs, and why did the FRC feel they needed a whole new policy for them starting next year?
Right. So to get SORPs, you first need to understand the FRC's bigger role. They're the main body-setting accounting standards, GAAP in the UK and Ireland. They're also the competent authority for statutory audit in the UK. Basically, they set the technical standards for auditors, the ethical guidelines too, and they cover technical actuarial standards as well, which is all about assessing financial risk, like for insurers or pension funds.
Got it. So they have a wide remit.
Exactly. Now, SORPs themselves, they're recommendations, but they come from the sector itself. Think of them as specialized guidebooks for financial reporting or auditing or actuarial stuff within specific industries or areas. Their job is really to supplement the FRC's main standards and legal rules, especially where there are unique factors in play. They might give extra guidance on things already in FRC standards, or maybe help an industry pick the best option if the FRC standards allow for choices.
Okay, so they fill specific gaps, but what problems are they actually trying to solve? Why the need for these recommendations?
Good question. The FRC is very clear on this. There are specific criteria, what they call overarching criteria. Fundamentally, a SRP needs to lead to higher quality work reporting, auditing, actuarial, or at least stop unacceptable quality from happening. They're also key if there's inconsistent practice going on. Different companies in the same sector doing things differently, which hurts comparability. That's a big no-no. Or they might respond to a specific industry need, provide extra guidance if industry changes affect how an FRC standard is applied, or even establish a sort of public interest benchmark for professional accountability. It's about precision in these specialized fields.
Right, that makes sense. But here's something I was wondering. If they're that important, why doesn't the FRC just issue them directly? Why hand it off?
That's a really interesting point, and it touches on the design of the system. The policy states that SORPs are issued by FRC-recognized SORP-making bodies. These bodies have to act in the public interest, and the idea is to leverage their deep, specific industry expertise.
Okay. So it brings in that specialist knowledge.
Exactly. But the FRC does keep the power to issue guidance itself in certain situations, like if it's needed for international obligations or maybe just to add extra guidance to existing standards. They might also step in if there's a potential conflict of interest, real or perceived, if a trade body issued it. Or if the public interest really demands that independence from the profession itself. And critically, if something needs a really speedy response, the FRC can just do it directly.
Okay, so there are specific triggers for the FRC taking the reins. So if I'm, say, an industry body, how do I get this recognition? What are the hoops I need to jump through?
It's a defined process, yeah. You need to meet specific criteria laid out in paragraph 3 of the policy. First, the industry or sector you represent, it has to have genuine special issues reporting, auditing, actuarial that need clarification beyond the main FRC standards. Second, your body needs to represent the whole industry, or at least a major chunk of it. You need that credibility.
Right, can't just be a small faction.
Precisely. Third, you have to share the FRC's overall aim, high-quality reporting, robust audits, that kind of thing. Your goals need to align. Fourth, and this is key, you must agree to follow the specific policy when you develop or revise your SORP. That's non-negotiable. And lastly, if your sector is regulated or gets funding from another body, you generally need their written consent too.
Okay, that sounds pretty thorough.
And it's not just a one-off check. The FRC can actually withdraw that recognition later if you stop meeting the criteria or if you don't stick to the policy. They can even publish that withdrawal if they think it's in the public interest. So there's ongoing accountability.
That brings up something about the language in the policy itself. It uses must, shall, and should. What's the actual difference there? Feels important.
Oh, it's critical for understanding the requirements. The policy defines these terms quite carefully in paragraph 7. Must means it's a mandatory requirement of the policy, but it might involve factors outside the SORP-making body's direct control. Think external obligation. Shall also signals a mandatory requirement, but this one is expected to be directly under the SORP-making body's control, something they are responsible for doing.
Right, so that's on them.
Exactly. And should indicates a recommendation. It's strongly advised best practice, but not an absolute mandatory rule like must or shall. That precision is key.
Okay, that clarification helps a lot. So once a body is recognized, what's the actual path a SORP takes? From that initial idea to getting published, sounds like quite a journey.
It absolutely is. Recognition is just step one, like you said. After that, the SORP-making body has to give the FRC a main point of contact. Then the real work starts, developing or revising the SRP, and there are several key stages and principles involved, outlined in the development of SORP section.
Like what? What are the big milestones?
Well, first, the scope. Every SORP shall remember clearly state its scope. Which industry, sector, types of entities it applies to. That's paragraph 9. Then, crucially, before starting any major work, the SORP-making body shall get FRC approval to actually begin. That's paragraph 10.
Why is that needed so early?
It's to make sure everyone's on the same page about the nature and scope, and importantly, to avoid overlap with FRC's own projects or things the FRC wants to handle directly. Then there's the hierarchy principle, paragraph 12. SRPs cannot override laws, regulations, or FRC standards, ever.
FRC rules always win.
Always. And if a new FRC standard or law comes out that conflicts with an existing SRP, those conflicting SRP parts just stop having effect automatically. See paragraph 13. The SORP-making body is then responsible for updating the SORP promptly. And even if they don't, entities still have to follow the FRC standard. No excuses, that's paragraph 14.
So they have to keep it current.
They do. And to make this crystal clear, paragraph 15 says every SORP shall include a specific statement explaining its status relative to FRC standards. It basically says, comply with this SORP, but always apply the latest applicable standards, and if there's a conflict because this SORP is older, the standard or law wins. SORPs also shall be really clear about what relates to FRC standards versus other info, and distinguish guidance on standards from recommendations that go beyond them, like extra disclosures. That's paragraphs 16 and 17. And finally, paragraph 20 mandates a basis for conclusions, or something similar, explaining the key issues they considered. Transparency is vital.
Wow, okay. Lots of checks and balances there.
Yeah.
What about consistency then, across different sectors, or even within the same one?
Consistency is a major goal, covered in paragraphs 21 to 23. SORPs shall aim to promote it, usually by recommending a preferred approach or method. And they shall try to be consistent with similar industries on the same issues, where practical. Unless there's a good reason not to be maybe different user needs or legal setups, this often means different SOP-making bodies need to talk to each other, coordinate.
And the FRC keeps an eye on this.
Yes, the FRC explicitly says it will review SORPs for consistency as part of its oversight.
Okay, the technical side sounds really buttoned up. But what about the people side? How do they make sure these things actually serve the public interest and get buy-in?
That's where governance and accountability comes in, paragraphs 25 to 38. It's a big focus. Each SORP-making body shall have effective, transparent governance for how they develop and maintain SORPs. This means being clear about who makes decisions, often through standing groups or committees.
Standing groups.
Yeah, dedicated groups. They need clear terms of reference, a proper process for appointing members, and they need to think about the group's balance and composition. There's even a guideline in paragraph 29 suggesting members normally serve a maximum of 9 years, or through 2 major revisions involving public consultation to ensure fresh perspectives come in.
So regular turnover.
Exactly. And the FRC stays involved. Paragraph 30 says the FRC must be told who's on these groups and what their terms are. Plus, FRC staff shall get observer status with speaking rights at their meetings.
So the FRC is in the room, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. Listening, potentially contributing. Then there's stakeholder participation, paragraph 34. This is huge. The SORP-making body shall ensure effective participation all the way through. That could be formal, like having stakeholders on the standing groups, or through public consultation, or even informal outreach. And they shall engage a wide range of stakeholders. Paragraph 35, industry people, yes, but also regulators representing the public interest, and crucially, the users of the financial statements or audit reports or actuarial info.
The end users, right?
Yes. And paragraph 36 makes a critical point. At least one standing group shall include representation from users or public interest bodies, either as full members or observers with speaking rights. For audit SORPs, paragraph 36 even says these representatives should ideally be the majority. That really underscores the public interest angle.
That's a strong statement, especially for audit.
It is. Now, related to that is due process and consultation, covered in paragraphs 39 to 54. The whole process shall be open and follow due process, typically involving public consultation. That's paragraph 39. If the SORP might diverge from an FRC standard, they shall tell the FRC ASA, according to paragraph 40. And if SORP recommends something beyond FRC standards, paragraph 41 says the FRC needs to be satisfied they've considered the cost versus the benefit.
Sensible check.
Very. Public consultation is mandatory required for new SORPs and new interpretations, paragraph 43. Though there's a quicker admin procedure possible just for updates reflecting changes in standards or laws if no new interpretation is involved. Paragraph 44. The preferred way is a published draft with at least a 12-week comment period. Paragraph 45. Although shorter might be okay if the FRC agrees.
And the FRC sees the draft first.
Absolutely. Paragraph 47 states all consultation drafts shall go to the FRC for consent before being published. The FRC reviews it, paragraph 48, checks it, follows the policy, ensures no unacceptable principles or conflicts with standards, and that it fits with their wider goals.
Right. And what about the feedback from consultation?
Transparency again. Consultation responses shall be made public unless someone requests confidentiality, paragraph 52. The SORP-making body shall publish these responses on their website, usually within 12 weeks, and provide a summary to the FRC. The FRC reviews all that too, paragraph 53.
Okay, so after all that, the development, the governance checks, the public feedback, what's the final seal of approval? How does the FRC give its official nod?
That final piece is the FRC's statement on the SORP. Paragraph 55 says every SORP must include the statement, and they need the FRC's written consent to do so. Before giving that consent, the FRC does a final review, paragraphs 57 to 61. They look at the final SORP, the basis for conclusions. They check again. Was it developed according to the policy? Any unacceptable fundamental principles? Any conflicts with FRC standards? Does it support broader FRC goals? They also look at how the SORP-making body handled the public consultation feedback.
And what does the statement itself actually say?
Well, paragraphs 62 to 65 outline it. The statement explains the FRC's review process. It confirms the SORP doesn't appear to contain unacceptable fundamental principles. It confirms it doesn't appear to conflict with an FRC standard. And, where relevant, confirms it doesn't appear to undermine the FRC's broader objectives. It's basically the FRC signaling, we reviewed this according to our policy, and it seems aligned with promoting high-quality reporting, audit, or actuarial work in this specific area.
Doesn't appear to. That sounds carefully worded.
It is, because, as paragraph 66 points out, this statement is an assessment at a particular moment. It's not a guarantee that the FRC won't issue something later that overrides the SORP.
So it's not set in stone forever then?
Definitely not. And the FRC explicitly reserves the right to withdraw its statement, outlined in paragraph 72. That could happen if the SORP gets outdated or superseded by FRC standards or law changes, or if the SORP-making body doesn't maintain or revise the SORP properly according to the policy, or even if they refuse changes the FRC asks for. It's an endorsement that needs to be maintained.
Okay, that makes sense. They've changed so fast. So how do they keep these SRPs current and effective over time? Is there an ongoing checkup?
Yes, there's a mandatory annual review, detailed in paragraph 75. Every SORP-making body shall do this each year. They have to look at several things: how new or proposed FRC standards might impact their SORP, whether there's evidence people are widely not following the SORP guidance, suggesting it might need a rethink, any industry developments that might need new guidance, any new factors affecting whether the SORP is even still needed. And paragraph 76 adds they also shall consider their overall compliance with the policy itself during the year.
And they report this back to the FRC.
They do. Paragraphs 78 to 80 say they shall give the FRC a written account of this annual review within 2 months of their year end, and it needs formal approval from their own governance structure. Paragraph 81 lists some key things this report needs: conclusions, governance changes, activities, plans, details on their standing group's members, balance, turnover, why people have served certain tenures, contact points. It's quite comprehensive.
Okay. What about guidance outside the SRP itself, like little explainer documents? Is that allowed?
Generally, the policy steers away from that. Paragraph 67 suggests it's not usually necessary because interpretations of FRC standards shall be in the SORP itself. However, paragraph 69 allows for supplementary guidance in two very specific narrow cases.
Which are?
One, to interpret SORP requirements for a particular subsector within the main sector. Two, just to help practitioners apply the SORP more easily. Practical aids, essentially. But if they do this, paragraph 70 says they shall tell the FRC and get consent to publish it. But importantly, the FRC won't formally review this extra guidance or issue a statement on it. And paragraph 71 mandates that this supplementary guidance shall carry a prominent note saying it's not part of the SORP and not reviewed by the FRC. So its status is very clear.
Right, keeping that distinction sharp. So, bringing this all together, what does this mean for you, the listener? Maybe you work in one of these sectors, maybe you rely on their financial reports, or maybe you're just trying to grasp how accountability works in these complex areas.
Well, I think if you connect the dots, what emerges is this quite sophisticated system. It's designed to carefully balance the very specific needs of individual sectors with the need for overall regulatory coherence. The FRC's policy really pushes for rigor, transparency, and getting lots of stakeholders involved when developing these specialized recommendations, these SORPs. They're built to be robust and sector-specific, but crucially, they always sit underneath the main FRC standards. It really shows the effort being made to get clarity and consistency in these vital, sometimes quite niche areas of finance and related practices. It's about grounding everything in sound principles.
That's a great summary, and maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Considering just how fast things change in so many industries today, technology, regulation, global markets, how do you think this policy's strong emphasis on timely updates and continuous stakeholder conversations will actually shape trust and adaptability in our financial world going forward? It feels like a system built not just for now, but trying to anticipate what's next, something to mull over.